And really, for a small town guy like me, you would think that in my mind, I'm like, oh man, this is going to be a big moment for me. But for some reason, I kind of felt like I was home. I was surrounded by people who's like minded as me, and yeah, I found security there. So I feel like the moment is not going to be too big for me when I step foot in the apex. I think I'll be right where I belong.
Five, four, three, two, one, zero.
What's going on, everybody? For MMA Sucka, my name is Nate Freeman. I'm joined today by Razor Robbie Ring, who is fighting on Dana White's Contender Series on August 22nd. Robbie, how you doing today?
I'm doing well. Happy to be on the show.
Happy to have you. Well, let's get right into it. It's been a whirlwind of a summer for you. Not only have you been offered the opportunity to fight on the Contender Series as a replacement, but also you had your birthday, you've gotten married, and there's just been a lot going on for you. So, where are you at mentally with all that's been going on? And yeah, what's life with Robbie Ring like right now?
Oh yeah, so busy summer. Um, so before I even got the call to Contender Series, I had my wedding planned for July 22nd. So it was a good little way to kind of split the fight camp for me. We were already training hard for 4 weeks, so I got to go on a little honeymoon. It wasn't too long, but I got to go out for a couple days to Florida, kind of recovered my body, and then straight back into hard training right after. One thing, though, everything that's went on, I've remained focused on this fight. My mind's right, and this has been the best fight camp that I've ever had. So I can't complain.
Talking about, you mentioned this being the best fight camp you've ever had. What exactly has gone into making it the best fight camp it's ever been? And what are you looking forward to showcasing that you've been working on against Luis Pajuelo on August 22nd?
Yeah, so fighting on the regional scene, I've dealt with a lot of like last minute replacement fights from opponents pulling out of the fight. So that was always really irritating on the regional scene because every time that we started to be able to game plan for a specific opponent, things would change last minute. But for this fight camp, we knew that you don't see too many people back out of a Contender Series fight unless they get injured in training. So this whole fight camp, it's been very specific for Luis Pajuelo, working things that we've seen in film, that he does that I can take advantage of. Things to watch out for that he does well. So it's been very just specific and to the point. So this has been great. My strength and conditioning, we've changed it up a little bit to take it to the next level, and just putting my roots in the ground. And that's always been just hard work. That's what's got me to this point. So just keep on working hard.
And I saw in another interview that you were ready to compete on the Contender Series. You were expecting it to be a little bit later in the season, but once Tobias Harrella pulled out, the good management team that you have with Iridium, they are one of the top tier management promotions, especially with relations to the UFC. So they thought of you, called you up, and here you are. But talk to me about you've already been to the PI and done all your media and medicals and all of that. What was that experience like?
Oh man, don't even get me started on Las Vegas. It is a completely different place than where I'm from. I'm from just the Appalachian Mountains in Southwest Virginia. Um, so when I went to Vegas and just seen how big it was there, and got to walk into the UFC Apex and see the octagon set up, man, wow, it was really mesmerizing because that is the fight capital of the world right there. You see the UFC billboards all over the hotel, and really, for a small town guy like me, you would think that in my mind, I'm like, oh man, this is going to be a big moment for me. But for some reason, I kind of felt like I was home. I was surrounded by people who's like minded as me. And yeah, I found security there, so I feel like the moment is not going to be too big for me when I step foot in the apex. I think I'll be right where I belong.
It's been a long way from getting excited about being featured in the Withville Enterprise to um, fighting on the international stage on an international streaming service with ESPN, fighting for a contract to fight in the biggest promotion in the world.
Yes, 100%. It just goes to show you that hard work will take you to the next level, and that's what I'm experiencing now. This isn't a regional fight anymore. I'm fighting for a contract in the biggest MMA promotion in the world.
Um, Obviously, you're fighting in front of Dana White, and he says he doesn't do any research on the people who are fighting. He leaves that to the hands of Sean Shelby and Mick Maynard, and he just sees the performances that night. Do you feel any extra pressure at all to perform well and put on a good show for Dana so that he does give you the contract?
Yeah, to some degree. Of course, I want my performance. I want him to like my performance. But I do have faith in my fighting style and my skills that if I go in there and fight like I do every fight, that Dana will like my style and want me in the UFC.
Well, let's take a couple steps back because obviously you train um, under both of your parents. Your mom was a decorated karate and kickboxer, um, and your father didn't have a background in combat jujitsu. Um, so I assume with that being the case, with both of them having martial arts backgrounds, one being in striking, one being in grappling, is that sort of how your training camp split up, or is there more of an MMA focus and putting it all together where they both work together in that sense?
Yeah, that's a great question. So, um, where my mom, I started out doing traditional karate whenever I was a young kid. I did Tang Sudo karate, and it was a great start. It taught me discipline. It taught me to just remain dedicated to martial arts because it's easy to quit martial arts early. So I'm forever thankful that I started out in traditional martial arts under my mom. Whenever I got into my teenage years, I started really focusing on my jujitsu and my MMA game. So all together. So my mom, she still is one of my main coaches, but my dad, he's the head coach of the MMA program, and I'm still implementing things that I learned through traditional karate and things that my mom has taught me that she learned through her kickboxing career. But as far as my training goes, it's mostly just full MMA. It's every aspect of the fight game: wrestling, jiu-jitsu, stand-up boxing, Muay Thai, all of it. We put it all together.
And you talked about in other interviews, sort of that obviously when you're in the gym, you're focused on that. But you try to have family time with them when you're at home, but sometimes you get sort of lost in fight discussion. Um, I'm curious. I know there's several athletes who have just one parent. Um, that's their coach, like Wonder Boy. I interviewed Jade Sheely a couple of months ago, whose father runs a gym in Ohio. Different people like that. But I think you're the only person that I know who has both parents involved in not only the your fighting career, but the training aspect of it specifically. So, how um, can you talk about how unique that is and how um, much of a, I don't know, your experience with that?
Yeah, so having both of my parents, what I tell people all the time is they would think that you know sometimes people might misconceive having both of your parents as your coach, thinking that they're going to take it easy on you. maybe more so than the other fighters at the gym. But that was that was never me growing up, and still isn't today. My dad was always tougher on me than any other student of his. He knew what goals I had set for myself at a young age, so he knew what kind of work it took to get me to that level. So most of the time, you think that whenever you're at the gym and I'm sitting there and I'm training hard, Dad might not call me out right there at the gym, but when we go home, we were going to talk about it. And even at home watching TV, there's been multiple times that he said, "All right, get in the floor. I'm gonna show you something." So it's honestly been a blessing to have both of them involved in my career, because like I said in another interview, it's not just at the gym. We're constant. All I like to talk about is fighting. So even when we're at home, we're talking about MMA fighting.
I'm curious about maybe some of the mental preparation that you do for fighting. Do you do like maybe visualization of how fights go? Do you speak with a sports psychologist? What do you do to get yourself mentally ready to get into the cage?
Yeah, so this is something that I've really started to work on since I turned pro, because my last few amateur fights, I was not happy with the way that I fought. I felt like I was putting too much pressure on myself, and I wasn't mentally there, and it showed in my performance. So now I get into a habit, instead of thinking about all the things that could go wrong in the octagon. You get knocked out or you get caught in a submission. Every night when I go and lay my eyes to go to sleep, I just and visualize the good things. I always vision myself having success in my fights, me winning, me getting a submission, me knocking them out. And really, it's really just like if you view your dreams, they will become a reality. And that's kind of how I approach that. I don't talk to a sports psychologist, but I do have good friends and family who I could talk to about my fights, and they're a very, very good support system.
I think that some people, when I talk about this, they say that they when they talk about visualization, that they visualize sometimes one thing happening more than another thing. So like they'll visualize like 100 different ways the fight goes, but um, they always visualize. Obviously, you get in your hand raised, but there seems to be like a common theme in what they're visualizing. Is there anything that you're visualizing for your upcoming fight that's become a common theme that you believe is going to happen in the cage?
Yeah. Well, I'm visualizing the fight, I'm really seeing me taking him down and getting on top, and him getting stuck on the bottom. And then I've been visualizing myself catching that neck and choking him out. So and I've done that in multiple fights. I think I have a good submission game, and I think I have the advantage against Pajuelo on the ground. So I really could see that happening, me catching the early submission on him.
Yeah, none of your fights, other than the one against Jacob Kilburn, a UFC veteran, have made it past 90 seconds, and a lot of those have been by submission, like you mentioned. So, um, looking for another finish, I'm sure, obviously, on the Contender series as well. But let's change gears a little bit, because I want the fans to get to know you a little bit more outside of Razor Robbie Ring, the fighter, and get to know Robbie Ring a little bit more as a person. So let's start with maybe after either you had a weight cut and you're just really craving something, or if you wait until after the fight and you're celebrating, what is the one thing, one food that you're thinking of after you win or after you finish your weight cut?
Oh man, oh, what food is there not to think of? I love to eat. I've been super disciplined with my nutrition for this fight camp, so I've been having lots of thoughts about food. But Really, for me, I really just like a good juicy hamburger, and I have to have a milkshake with it. I love. I got a sweet tooth bad, so I really like milkshakes and just a good big burger with some fries. And that's a. I'll tell you, after my fight, somewhere in Las Vegas, there's going to be a hamburger in front of me.
Okay, so two things with that. One, what is your choice of toppings for a burger? Choice of toppings and condiments.
Oh, you got to get it all the way. I like everything. Throw everything on that burger and put some bacon on it too.
All right, I love it. And then two, what flavor milkshake? Do you have a preferred flavor?
Oh yeah, oh definitely. I got a preferred flavor. I love cookies and cream. Anything, cookies and cream, ice cream. Somebody at the gym one time for my birthday made me a cookies and cream cake, and I couldn't even eat it. So it was the thought that counted. So
They didn't even save you a slice and put it in the freezer or something.
oh
That's brutal.
no. Yeah, I know it hurt me because I was eyeballing that thing, drooling a little bit, but I stayed disciplined. It was hard that day, but I did.
Man, that's tough. Well, moving on, what is your either, if you have a favorite book, what's your favorite book? Or if you don't read, what is your favorite either movie or TV show?
For my favorite book, it's called The Fighter's Mind, and it's got multiple authors in it. Just a few that's in it. It's got Dan Gable. He's a big inspiration. He wasn't an MMA fighter, but a very accomplished wrestler and coach. It's got Randy Couture in it, one of my all-time favorite fighters. And each chapter of the book is a different author, and they just write about their mindset towards competition. And I really enjoyed that book. And I'll just go ahead and give you one of my favorite movies, which might make some people laugh, but it's The Nutty Professor with Eddie Murphy. That man right there, I don't care if I've had the worst day ever. If I just put on an Eddie Murphy movie, that man just makes me crack up. So.
That's a good choice. I know a lot of people pick like these cinematic masterpieces, but there's nothing beats just a good solid comedy that you can just sort of not have to think about and just laugh to.
Yep.
So I perfectly understand that. I love that choice. I know that you have a degree in criminal justice, so I might know where this answer is going, but if you were not a mixed martial artist or martial artist in general, where do you think you'd be? What do you think you'd be doing?
Oh man, that's a tough question. If martial arts wasn't in my life, I do have a degree in criminal justice, but I'm kind of a guy that I don't like to ruin people's day, and police officers, I love them to death, and thank you to all the police officers. But I know so many people in this community that I live in that I would hate to write them a speeding ticket because I would know them. If I wasn't fighting, I could maybe see myself getting into something with forensics. I really enjoyed the forensic section of college. Maybe try to get into some type of investigations.
Interesting. I like that. So then, what advice? Obviously, you're heading into a Contender Series fight, biggest fight of your career. What advice would you give to either yourself when you were just starting out in MMA or someone who's looking to get started in MMA? What advice would you have for them?
Definitely keep your glass empty. If you walk into a MMA gym or even a traditional martial arts gym, if your glass is already full, you might as well just go home. This sport is all about learning. I'm been doing this since I was a little kid, and I'm learning stuff every single day. There's so many different aspects of fighting that you can't ever learn enough. So always remain humble and also just work hard and stay disciplined. Like I said earlier, it's so easy to give up martial arts because you get tired of it. You might have a bad month, and then you just push martial arts to the side. But you have to really create this to be a lifestyle, and that's what I've done. And it's been easy for me because I grew up in a family that it was always there. But whenever I started really just embracing all of it, is when I started to see a big difference in my game.
Yeah, that's great. And then I know one of your main hobbies is hunting and fishing. So on the fishing side, I want to hear the catch that you're most proud of, or the biggest catch, or whatever. And then maybe your favorite type of hunting that you like to do.
Yeah, I've had a few good catches. I've caught some. I usually go bass fishing. Either if I'm out on the lake, I like to fish for largemouth, and I've caught a 5 pound largemouth bass before. Another cool time is I caught a shark when we went on vacation
Oh, wow.
in Florida. He was a baby, but I mean he was still pretty good sized. I just thought it was cool to see a shark that was holding it. And then for hunting, I like to go deer hunting. I also enjoy turkey hunting, but I probably prefer hunting for deer. It's very. I just like to relax, get out in nature, and even if I don't, kill a deer, I just like watching them. The way they move. The things that they do, like you'll see when the rut kicks in, you'll see the bucks come chasing the does, and it really is when you're out in the woods. It's pretty magical.
I have some deer that run around sometimes just right outside my backyard, and it's really fun to watch them just sort of run around and play around. So
Yeah.
yeah, that makes sense. Okay, so before I let you go, I want to give you the floor to if you have a message for your fans, anybody that you want to send a message to, you can send that message, and then shout outs to sponsors, shout outs to anybody that you want to shout out, and then 3, how can people follow you on social media?
Okay. First off, I always say this in all of my interviews, and I just want to give all the glory to my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. I tell people all the time, yes, it's me putting in the hard work, but it's God keeping me safe, keeping me strong minded. And prayer does go a long ways. So I just want to give all the glory to God. Um, yeah, and for my message for people, and this is mostly for the kids and the teenagers that are in my area and all around. Just find something and stick to it. You never know where it's going to take you. You could have asked me at 13 years old if I was going to make it to the UFC, and I would have looked you in your face and I would have said, "Yes, I am." And don't shy away from your goals. Chase them as hard as you can, because the worst thing that's going to happen is it just doesn't happen. But you never know until you give it your all and try. So that would be the message, and that goes for all the youth. Find something that you love doing, and then pursue it with everything in you, because you don't know. You don't know what'll happen. Just a few sponsors of mine that I want to shout out real fast. Barney Construction, Chris Fox at Berkshire Hathaway Realty, Choice Physical Therapy, Back 40 Storage and Rentals. And these people, they're not just sponsoring me because I got this opportunity to go and compete on the Contender series. These are people that supported me since I started fighting professionally. They've been with me from the bottom, and they've stuck with me until till now. So I really appreciate them. And then my parents and my gym, Ring Combat Sports. They have built me from the ground up. I love that gym with all my heart, and I can't wait to go make all of my teammates proud. And then if you want to follow me on social media, you can follow me on Facebook at Razor Robbie Ring, or you can follow me on Instagram at Razor Rob MMA.
This has been Razor Robbie Ring. He's competing on Dana White's Contender Series August 22nd against Luis Pajuelo. Robbie, thank you so much for your time. Best of luck in your fight.
Thank you, and I really appreciate you having me on.